In collaboration with Maxtroll, I present the Falconer.
Sorry, Falconeer, not Falconer. Although I feel like that should have two E's.
The Falconer is the final mastery coming to Lat Epoch.
Nice. This is on the opposite side of the screen.
February 21st for the launch of the game. This subclass focuses on your feathery friend, who's the main driving force behind your skills as a rogue. If you enjoy raining death from above, besting your enemies with a sword, bow, or talon, and swiftly maneuvering the battlefield, the Falconer brings a completely new twist to minion gameplay. In this video, we're going to show off the new skills and show off cool interactions from the Falconer. Then we're going to talk a little bit about the different archetypes that the Falconer offers, followed by showing off some builds that will have guides ready for launch.
That jump animation?
Twist to minion gameplay. In this video, we're going to show off the new skills and show off cool interactions from the Falconer. Then we're going to talk a little bit about the different archetypes that the Falconer offers.
Oh, that looks so cool right there.
Builds that will have guides ready for launch. You might also notice some graphical improvements in this video because there's a lot of upgrades for launch. Let's have a quick look at the skills you unlock exclusively as a Falconer. We'll be going over these and their respective skill trees, but...
Alright, I don't know how in-depth they're gonna go, but... Summons a Falcon to fight with you. Falcon rapidly hits enemies in target area. That's cool. Explosive trap sounds cool. Net. Snares enemies and deals physical damage. Netted bosses and rare enemies have 35% less movement speed. And other enemies are fully immobilized. That sounds really cool. I like CC abilities in ARPGs. I think that it's a underdone thing. Although, I mean, I guess grouping is a very important thing, but yeah, I mean, Dive Bomb looks really cool.
If you want a deep dive and more to chew on, head on over to Maxtroll, linked below to find out more. Keep in mind, these skills will unlock as you level. Your character automatically learns them after reaching certain thresholds in the Falconer passive tree.
Yep.
These skill showcases were provided by different Maxtroll creators. You can find their Twitch channel on the screen during each skill showcase. I have not seen the Falconer at all, so this is also going to be my first look and my first impression to everything here. First,
hey, mine
too.
Look
at Falconry, the skill that actually enables the Falcon. Bina, take it away.
Alright, so this is the Falcon from the Falconry skill. As you can see, as you walk by you, he just passively auto-attacks everything.
Wow,
he is a minion, and he is invulnerable to any attacks, so you don't have to worry about his survivability or anything like this. He also has access to an active skill, which you can see him dashing his way here through the enemies and killing everything in its path.
That's so cool.
This is obviously on a cooldown, so you won't be able to spam it, but there are ways to reduce its cooldown and being able to spam it even more. So basically, this is your Falcon friend, which is the main fantasy around the Falconer. To be able to use other skills, you also have to have the Falcon on your hotbar, as we'll see a little bit later, but this is the base ability of the Falcon.
So, Bina, are there any cool interactions that changes the skill a lot?
Yes, so your Falcon can actually use Acid Flask. So if you go to the left side of the tree here, you can actually see that there's Toxic Airdrop, and your Falcon now throws Acid Flask for you.
Oh,
obviously,
that's
this
awesome.
consumes your a portion of your mana cost for Acid Flask. You can max this out so you can throw even more.
It just throws
and then
them.
you can even grant him a chance to gain charges when you use Acid Flask. So finally, guys, an Acid Flask buff, and your Falcon has the chance to use it.
Next up, we're going to look at Aerial Assault with McFluffin.
Hey, thanks, Ziz. So Aerial Assault is a new movement ability, and one of the really...
I really like that this is like Ziz handing off to these people to talk about this. There's a nice touch to that.
cool things about it is it's not your character moving, it's actually your Falcon moving you. So as you go throughout the world and you use aerial assault, it'll actually pick you up and throw you in front of where you were. And it can
I love that. I love that it's the idea that the Falcon is moving you. I think that's so cool.
actually throw you quite a long ways, and at the end of it, it will actually do a feather burst attack, so it will do damage to enemies that are in front of you at the very end of the flight that you take, thanks to the bird.
And is there any like big things that we can change on this skill to make it have a different interaction?
Absolutely. So I am a huge fan of shadow daggers, and I play that probably more than anything else. And this actually gives us a new way to play a shadow dagger build. So if we go up here and we take Twilight Strike, we actually get access to Umbral Blades, which has the ability to throw out blades at the same time when the feathers are being thrown out. But those can apply shadow daggers. On top of that, Aerial Assault itself has a node that allows additional shadow daggers to be thrown out for even more damage. So this gives us a way to play another shadow dagger build that's now using the Falcon instead of the typical Blade Dancer. And it does a ton of damage, and you can see all the explosions going off here, and you can build Umbral Blades in different ways to make it spinning blades in front of it, and just allows for a ton of customization even in that small little bit of the skill tree.
The movement of this spec
Next up, we're going to do Dive
seems
Bomb
great.
with Boardman.
Yeah, thanks, Sis. Dive Bomb is the last skill that you get access to as the Falconer, and with it, it does a powerful AoE that does a single hit in a big area, allowing you to do great single target as well as clear out huge hordes of mobs that you can round up. One of the sweet things that you can get to do with the Falcon is it has great damage effectiveness, and you can also boost its damage by stacking a lot of your primary stat and by using bow attacks.
So how does this skill work? Do you target a location and it slams that location?
Yep, all you have to do is point your mouse where you want it to go, call
I
it
love
down,
that.
and it will fly from the sky, doing its huge damage in a big area.
Do you know what's the lowest you can get the cooldown to?
So the cooldown has a couple of interactions with other skills that actually replenish its cooldown and gives you cooldown recovery every time that you use like traps, for instance, and they explode. You can take off 4% of the remaining cooldown, so you can actually make it be reused really, really fast.
Wow. And is there any nodes on the skill tree we can take that changes this skill drastically as well?
Oh yes, it has a couple of synergies with other skills. For instance, if you go inside the skill tree, you can make it to you can target over here on the right side the decoy, and when you hit the decoy, you can make the decoy explode instantly when the Falcon blasts. So you actually have decoy, you can throw it out.
Oh, that's pretty
Decoy
cool.
will then call in all the enemies to target it, and then you can.
I assume decoy is probably just a base skill for a rogue. I actually haven't played rogue at all, so I don't really know. Based on that, I mean, that explosion was really cool, being able to set that off with the Falcon.
Make it explode as soon as the enemies are close by with the dive bomb.
And next up, we're going to see Explosive Trap by Volkit, because the Falconer actually has individual skills that don't rely on the Falcon as well.
This is actually the first skill you can get by speccing into Falconer tree. So you only need 5 points on the Falconer tree to get this skill. It's like a classic trapper playstyle.
Yeah.
You can actually do
I love explosive traps in games. I think it's really cool being able to set something and have an enemy walk into it and just explode.
any of the elements as a damage type with this. So you can do fire, cold, or
God, you can
lightning, or
throw
even,
so
even
many of
all
them.
of those at once. So really cool, like a classic trapper playstyle.
So is that why the traps have different colors?
Yeah, exactly. So I have actually converted this, all of the elements at once, so cold, fire, and lightning, and that's actually the way you can maximize the amount of traps you have at once, pretty much. So basically maximizing the DPS.
Is there any way to make this skill interact with the Falcon?
Yeah, so it can actually give pretty massive amount of buffs on the Falcon itself. So basically, you throw traps, and when they detonate, you get buffs on the Falcon.
So are there any big changes you can do in the skill to make the skill behave differently?
Yeah, so you can actually.
Okay. The way Ziz is asking these questions feels like he has them just written out on the sheet of paper, which, you know, isn't a bad thing, but it's not very conversational, which makes me believe that this interview or whatever is literally just handed off back and forth between what the question is and what they're answering. Obviously, I could be wrong here because I don't know the ins and outs of it, but very rehearsed, which isn't a bad thing, just obvious.
Actually make this skill a bow skill with the blast train node here. So you spec the bow skill here, and then you can also get detonating arrow procs on the skill. So you're gonna be like a fully bow playstyle if you do this.
Wow.
Yeah, so you have like massive range, massive
God.
AoE. You have procs going like everywhere. Amazing playstyle.
Oh my
in
God.
my opinion, definitely
So
the
much
most fun
happening
I
on the
had
screen.
Am
in
I
LD with
playing
bow
this?
skills.
Wow.
You can also do this without converting it to bow, but I mean, the bow just makes it so good, you know.
That's
That's
so
like-
cool.
Explosive arrow on crack.
Yeah, exactly.
I was gonna start Squirrel, but now I'm not 100% sure anymore. Holy. And the Falconer also has utility skills. So next up, we're gonna show up the Net ability with Tarek.
Yeah, so Net is going to be a very powerful supporting skill in order to control monsters. It basically immobilizes regular enemies and is going to also reduce the movement speed of rares and bosses. And as you can see, it also makes your character leap backward whenever you use it.
Are there any different ways we can make this skill completely different?
There is one particular way that is very interesting at the bottom of the tree here. Basically, you're going to convert the net into a trap.
Okay.
And from that trap, it's gonna use puncture. Interesting part about it is that you can actually use bow attacks with it. So it's actually like a ranged playstyle.
So are those caltrops that are falling down from the net?
This is also another part of the skill tree. Whenever you use net, is gonna throw caltrops where you use the ability, and it's also gonna use caltrops where you aimed at. So it's kind of like leaving
so
behind
much.
dot on the ground.
So now it's basically a clearing ability. As we've just learned, the Falconer offers loads of different playstyles. You don't have to just be a minion build, and you have loads of exclusive skills that you can't use otherwise, and cool interactions with other things. Next up, we're going to look at a build from Boardman, and this is something that'll have a max roll guide, and we'll have a separate video for this before launch, so make sure you check that out as well. Boardman, tell us a little bit about the build.
Oh yeah, absolutely, Sis. This build's going to be using a lot of the Falconer abilities. We're going to have Aerial Assault, we're going to have Dive Bomb, we're going to have Smoke Bomb to buff us with our defense, Falcon Strikes, and then we'll be throwing some Trap. Every time that we use Aerial Assault, we'll leap forward, our Falcon will have a...
I will say that's one thing I don't love about Rune Master at the moment, is that it seems like there's only one Rune Master ability that I use. Looking at leaderboards and some guides, it kind of seems like it's all about using the default mage abilities to get into the section you want to be for Rune Master, and then using that one Rune Master ability. This having, I mean, it has Explosive Trap, it has the Falcon, it has the Dive Bomb, like, that being on there makes it much better for a holistic point of view in terms of a mastery and using all of it. I'm a big fan of that.
Nice Feather Storm that he puts out there. We'll have Dive Bomb to come down and absolutely destroy enemies for single target in a short area. And then when you really need, you can have Falcon Strikes go off, which is going to allow us to just have a bunch of attacks on a whole bunch of enemies in a small area. And then whenever you need to buff your Falcon, we can throw out traps. And every time a trap explodes, it's going to give penetration for our Falcon, allowing his damage to scale and get absolutely ridiculous. Due to Dive Bomb having really great damage, a lot of added damage effectiveness and scalars with it, single target is just as good as clearing, so you can go super fast if you just want to speedrun echoes, or if you want to take on bosses.
What's the tank on this build like?
It's very tanky. You even get to leech a portion of the damage that the Falcon is doing, and because it does so much damage, you can
leech off the Falcon. Seems really cool too.
To keep you alive.
So Volka, show us more.
Yeah,
of
you can see that right here too.
Crazy bow
coming in to keep you alive.
Like, look at his health here.
So much damage, you can pretty much always count on a ton of leech coming in to keep you alive.
It goes down, then just dive bombs
So
and goes
Volka,
right back
show
up.
us more of the crazy bow build.
Yeah, so we're using Explosive Trap as the main skill here. So
This is
blocking
so cool.
tons of detonating arrows and icicles from the Rain of Winter bow. Otherwise, it's a classic bow playstyle, so using shift for movement and smoke bomb and some of these utility skills like shurikens for tankiness.
For full clarity, the build we're showing here is actually a marksman. This specs into the Falconer tree to gain access to its skills and passive perks.
Overall, really like strong DPS build. It's really squishy though, so you need to be basically just killing enemies before they kill you. Basically no defense. You don't really need any defense with this build, to be honest, because as you can see, the gameplay is just, well, kind of...
I do tend to
kind of
love
absurd with the AoE and range. Maybe
low
you could,
defense,
of
high
course, build
damage
some tankiness, but
in
that's kind of the thing
ARPGs.
with Marksman. It doesn't really have much options for like huge tankiness. You can get cleansing blow and armor, but yeah, of course HP, but there's not that many options.
So can you walk me through all the skills you're using in the build and what they do?
Yeah, so Explosive Trap as a main skill, then that's gonna proc the Detonating Arrow, so we actually don't need to really use Detonating Arrow manually, so sometimes you need to use it for mana, basically just gaining mana on hit, and then Shift for movement, and Smoke Bomb for basically just some tankiness, some Crimson Shroud stacks, Glancing Blow, And then decoy, you can use decoy for basically taunting enemies.
And I guess this build just has single target and farming. Like it's got it all except tank.
Yeah, exactly. It has everything except tank. As you can see, let's pop this here. These enemies are usually pretty tanky. They basically die.
Oh my god, that thing died so fast.
So that marks the end of the Falconer showcase that
That's
we're bringing
crazy.
here today. Make sure you go to Max Roll as well for a detailed breakdown. All in all, the class looks extremely promising, and it's starting a very unique way to approach the summoner.
I love it. I think that's really cool. Having the Falcon as a pet that you don't have to worry about is great. It's a nice change from typical summoner classes where you have to pay attention to your pet's health and how invulnerable it is or not. I think Dive Bomb is a really cool skill, getting to just point and click with it, tying it into the decoy, and being able to just explode the decoy on its own is really cool. And I really love the marksman build that just taps into Falconer and being able to just shoot explosive traps with it. I believe it also picked up net to try and manage some CC there as well. But yeah, I mean, Falconer looks great. A lot of these classes are so cool. I'm really excited for it.